My parents pressured me to financially support my brother Nathan and his pregnant girlfriend, my ex-wife Olivia. Yes, the same Nathan who had an affair with Olivia while we were married. The same Olivia who became pregnant with his child. And now, my family expects me to help them. The irony would be amusing if it wasn't so painful. To understand how my life spiraled into this mess of betrayal and family drama, let me take you back to the beginning. Growing up in suburban San Francisco, I, Maxwell Crawford, was 8 when Nathan was born. From that moment, he became my parents' golden child. Harrison and Eleanor Crawford weren't overtly cruel, but in their eyes, I might as well have been invisible. I still remember the science fair in 6th grade with crystal clarity. I'd spent months crafting a complex model of solar system dynamics, complete with orbital calculations and rotating planets. The judges awarded me first place and a special recognition for mathematical precision. But Nathan had t-ball practice. Not even a game, just practice. So my parents skipped the ceremony entirely. Our living room walls were plastered with Nathan's participation ribbons from various sports, while my science fair trophy sat unopened on the mantel for a week before disappearing into the garage. "Max, we need to support your brother's athletic development," Dad would say, barely glancing at my straight-A report card. "Nathan's sensitive about his grades, honey," Mom would whisper when I brought home advanced placement acceptance letters. "Maybe you could be less obvious about your achievements?" This pattern defined our childhood. Nathan's C-plus grades were celebrated, while my straight-A's earned distracted nods. When I was accepted into the advanced placement program, my mother's first concern was that Nathan might feel inadequate. For his 16th birthday, Nathan got a new car to build his confidence, as Dad put it. Meanwhile, I started working part-time at 16 to save for college and buy my own clothes. "Don't forget to congratulate your brother on making the baseball team," Mom would say, completely ignoring the MIT scholarship letter in my hands. "That's nice, honey, but did you hear Nathan might make starting pitcher next season?" High school graduation. High school graduation proved particularly challenging. While I delivered my valedictorian speech, announcing my full scholarship to Stanford, my parents were busy photographing Nathan playing in the bleachers. He was just 9 at the time. They were so focused on consoling Nathan's complaints about boredom that they missed my entire speech. That evening, what should have been my graduation celebration dinner transformed into a party for Nathan's Little League season because he seemed down about all your achievements. "Maxwell, sweetie," Mom pulled me aside during the party, her voice low and concerned. "Could you maybe tone down the college talk? Your brother's feeling overshadowed." The realization hit me then, with the force of a physical blow. Nothing I achieved would ever be enough. I was merely the practice run, the beta test, before their real parenting project, Nathan. College years. At 18, armed with my scholarship, savings from 3 part-time jobs, and a determination to never look back, I headed to Stanford. Nathan had a summer league game the day I moved into my dorm, so my parents left after dropping off my boxes. They didn't even stay to help me unpack. College transformed my life. For the first time, I was judged solely on my own merits. I discovered my passion for software architecture and threw myself into computer science, graduating with honors. My undergraduate thesis on distributed systems optimization caught the attention of several tech companies, and by graduation, I had 5 job offers on my desk. Some part of me still hoped things might change, so I accepted a position with a promising tech firm in San Francisco, partly because it was close to home. Within 2 years, I was leading my own development team, and by year 5, I became the youngest product manager in the company's history. My parents were too busy helping Nathan navigate his 3rd major change in college to understand what I actually did for a living. Meeting Olivia. The real turning point came 4 years ago in a small artisanal coffee shop near my office. That's where I met Olivia. She was working as a barista while finishing her art education degree, somehow managing to remember every regular's order and something personal about them. Later, she admitted she'd been leaving encouraging notes on my coffee cups for weeks before she finally agreed to go out with me. I hadn't even noticed, too absorbed in my work presentations. Our first date lasted 6 hours. We talked about everything: our families, our fears, our dreams. She seemed to truly understand my family dynamics. When I told her about my childhood, she looked at me with those expressive brown eyes and said, "They're blind, Max. They have no idea what they're missing." For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen. Early relationship. The following year felt surreal. Olivia and I would spend weekends exploring hidden art galleries in San Francisco, hiking in Marin County, and cooking elaborate meals together in my apartment. She encouraged me to pursue a major promotion at work, helped me prepare for the interviews, and celebrated my success more enthusiastically than anyone ever had. When I proposed after 14 months, she cried tears of joy, saying she'd been hoping I would ask. Wedding day. Our wedding was small and perfect, or so I thought at the time. When my family arrived, they spent the entire reception discussing Nathan's potential startup opportunity in Silicon Valley. Mom actually interrupted Olivia's father's toast to show everyone a text from Nathan about his second round of investor meetings. In retrospect, I should have seen it as a red flag, but Olivia just laughed it off, saying she found their dedication to Nathan endearing. Married life. For 3 years, our marriage was everything I dreamed of. We bought a beautiful condo in Pacific Heights, traveled when we could, and started discussing having a family. Olivia transformed our house into the warm, nurturing home I never had growing up, decorating it with photos from our travels and maintaining a small herb garden on our balcony. We were a team. She would often say we were us against the world. Nathan's return. Then last year, Nathan reached out. After failing to launch his startup in Silicon Valley, the startup culture wasn't his vibe. He was back in San Francisco. He sent me a long email about missing his big brother and wanting to repair our relationship after growing up. Family should stick together, he wrote. After a week of consideration, Olivia encouraged me to give him a chance. People change, she said, her hand on my arm. Maybe they've realized what they lost. First meeting with Nathan. Against my better judgment, I agreed to dinner with Nathan. The first meeting was awkward but promising. He seemed more self-aware, more mature. He actually acknowledged that he'd had it easy growing up. "I get it now, Max," he said, stirring his coffee. "I really do." A week later, I introduced him to Olivia, and they clicked immediately, too well, as I would later discover. The betrayal begins. At first, everything seemed perfect. Nathan would drop by for dinner a couple of times a week, bringing expensive wines and showing genuine interest in my work. He'd even defend me when our parents showed their usual favoritism at Sunday dinners. For the first time, I actually felt like we were real brothers. But things started changing subtly. Nathan began showing up at our condo unannounced, often while I was still at work. "We're just hanging out while I grade student artwork," Olivia would say casually. He'd stay for dinner, using my coffee mug while chatting with my wife, sharing inside jokes I wasn't part of. I chose to ignore the warning signs. Their sudden silence when I entered a room, Olivia tilting her phone away when I sat beside her, their knowing glances across the dinner table, their accidental meetings at the coffee shop or farmer's market. The pregnancy announcement. Then came the pregnancy announcement. We were having dinner at home. Naturally, Nathan was there when Olivia shared the news. I was ecstatic, but Nathan's reaction should have told me everything. He wasn't surprised at all. Instead, he had this satisfied smile that made my stomach turn. After that, Nathan was around constantly. He'd talk about how involved he'd be in our child's life, touch Olivia's stomach without asking, make comments about the baby's future. When I tried to plan a romantic baby moon getaway, he somehow invited himself along. "The baby needs both of us," he said, and Olivia agreed, avoiding my eyes. The discovery. I still remember that night with perfect clarity. I was lying awake in our Pacific Heights condo, replaying months of suspicious moments in my mind. Olivia was sleeping peacefully beside me, her phone charging on the nightstand. In 6 years of marriage, I had never once looked at her phone. I believed in trust and privacy, but that night, something in me needed to know. There were hundreds of messages between them, going back 6 months. Secret meetings at boutique hotels while I was in product management meetings. Plans for their future together. Conversations about the baby. Their baby. They had started sleeping together shortly after he came back into my life. They were planning to tell me after the baby was born, assuming I'd be too attached to the child to leave. The pregnancy wasn't an accident at all. Message by message, until dawn broke over San Francisco Bay, I watched my world crumble. The confrontation. I was sitting in our reading chair, Olivia's phone in my hand, when she woke up. She knew instantly what I'd discovered. "We didn't mean for this to happen," she sobbed, her perfect composure finally cracking. "Nathan and I just connected. He understands me in a way you never could." Then came the most cliché line in the history of affairs. "We were going to tell you, but we didn't want to stress you out after I got pregnant." Family response. I called my parents that morning, hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'd finally take my side. Their response left me stunned. "Nathan made a mistake, but he's going to be a father now," Mom said, her voice stern. "You need to forgive him and be the bigger person. Think about the baby. Think about your niece or nephew, the child produced when their younger son had an affair with their older son's wife. They were protecting him again. Some things never change." Legal proceedings begin. That day, I contacted a divorce attorney and checked into the Four Seasons. Olivia alternated between begging for forgiveness and accusing me of abandoning our family. Nathan tried to corner me at work, claiming we needed to have a man-to-man talk. I reported him for harassment and had security escort him out of the building. Divorce process. The divorce was a nightmare. Olivia and Nathan crafted a narrative painting me as emotionally unavailable, claiming their affair began because of my supposed controlling and emotionally abusive behavior. My parents testified that I had always been difficult and harbored lifelong jealousy of Nathan. Mom even lectured the mediator about how I should have been more considerate of Nathan's needs. After that display, I stopped trying to negotiate. In court, Olivia managed to secure a decent settlement. Apparently, in California, having an affair with your husband's brother doesn't waive alimony rights. Small victories, though. I kept the condo and most of my income. Present day. Now here I am at 34, divorced and completely estranged from my family. I've blocked their emails, their numbers, and instructed building security to never let them in. Some days, I catch myself wondering if there was anything I could have done differently. If I could have been a better husband, brother, or son. Then I remember. I wasn't the one who betrayed everyone. I wasn't the one who turned family against family. They say karma comes for everyone eventually. I don't know if that's true, but I do know I'm done being the family scapegoat. I'm tired of being the one who has to be understanding while everyone else gets away with destroying lives. I've spent my entire life as the overlooked one, the second choice, the afterthought. No more. Unexpected development. But just when I thought things couldn't get more bizarre, they were about to take an even stranger turn. My office receptionist messaged me during a crucial product review meeting, saying my mother, Eleanor, was in the lobby, insisting on seeing me. She reportedly spent over an hour there, telling anyone who would listen that she just needed to talk to her son. My team, having witnessed Nathan's previous workplace incident, could sense my discomfort. Family harassment. After ignoring her and continuing with my work, my phone started ringing with calls from unknown numbers. My mother had apparently enlisted various family members to try to reach me. When I finally answered one, thinking it might be work-related, it was my Aunt Victoria, whom I hadn't spoken to in years. She didn't even bother with hello. Nathan and Olivia are really struggling, she launched straight in. Nathan still can't find a job, and the settlement money is running low. No one wants to hire him after. Well, you know. It seemed Nathan's affair with Olivia had somehow made its way into his professional network. Several potential employers had withdrawn their offers after background checks. I couldn't help but appreciate the irony. For once, his actions had real consequences. Financial crisis. But here's where it gets absurd. My parents had been paying for everything: their groceries, their rent, even Olivia's prenatal medical expenses. Now Harrison and Eleanor were burning through their retirement savings, and they were panicking as they ran out of money. Their solution? They wanted me to provide financial support for the woman who betrayed me and the brother who destroyed my marriage. Office confrontation. My mother's appearance at my office wasn't random, it was calculated. She chose to ambush me at work, knowing I wouldn't return their calls. After threatening to stay until closing time, she launched into a rehearsed speech about forgiveness and family obligations. When I finally went down to handle the situation, she conveniently forgot that I had to pay for my own college education when she said, "Your father and I have always provided for both our sons. It's time for you to step up and support your brother through this difficult time." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "A difficult time?" I responded, my voice tight with controlled anger. "He had an affair with my wife, got her pregnant, and tried to pass the child off as mine. Those are deliberate choices, not a rough patch." She actually had the audacity to reply, "Well, if you had paid more attention to Olivia's needs." I cut her off and called security. Before she left, she made sure to announce loudly in the lobby that I was abandoning my own brother and his unborn child. Despite their support, several of my colleagues found this humiliating. Email from Nathan. Later that evening, Nathan sent me an email. He'd created a new account to bypass my blocks. It was a mixture of half-hearted apologies and thinly veiled requests for financial help. He wrote about complications with Olivia's pregnancy, news to me how they couldn't afford proper medical care, and how the stress was affecting my future niece or nephew. What really caught my attention was the attachment, a sonogram image. The manipulation tactics were obvious. They were using their unborn child, the product of their affair, to emotionally blackmail me. Further harassment. Taking a new approach, my father showed up at my condo complex the next day, claiming he just wanted to talk. When the front desk called, I refused to let him up. He then stood in the lobby for 2 hours, telling anyone who would listen how his successful son was letting his brother's family suffer. I've had to explain the situation to my building management and request that they bar any of my family members from entry. It's awkward having to air my private drama this way, but I see no alternative. Social media campaign. The harassment has expanded to social media. Olivia has been posting vague accusations about me, claiming she was abandoned during her pregnancy by her emotionally unavailable husband. Nathan has been sharing these posts, adding his own comments about how some people need to step up and take responsibility. The irony of him talking about responsibility while begging for handouts seems lost on him. The way they've twisted this narrative infuriates me. They've cast me as the villain because I won't financially support the people who betrayed me. They seem to think that because I'm successful in my career, I have some obligation to bail them out of their mess. I've started documenting everything: emails, workplace incidents, social media posts. My lawyer says we might need it if they try anything legal. She's particularly concerned they might attempt to use the legal system to get more support. Family pressure. The worst part. I've been getting messages from family friends and distant relatives urging me to put family first and be the bigger person. They don't seem to grasp that Nathan and Olivia destroyed what remained of my family. While I'm firm in my decision not to help them, the constant harassment is taking its toll. I've been seeing a therapist, and I'm considering taking a new position in Seattle. I hate the idea of running away, but I'm at a loss for how to find peace. My own family has sunk to levels I never imagined possible. Yet here we are. They're not just asking for help, they're trying to intimidate and shame me into financing the very people who ruined my life. Legal battle. Then suddenly, my former divorce attorney contacted me. Nathan and Olivia were trying to sue me for additional support, citing increased medical needs and changed circumstances. My lawyer, who had been tracking all their harassment incidents, was furious but prepared. Court showdown. Walking into that courtroom last week was surreal. Olivia was dressed to emphasize her obvious pregnancy. Nathan sat behind her in our father's old suit, while Harrison and Eleanor sat directly behind them, looking smugly confident. Their lawyer went first, spinning a tale that almost made me laugh. They claimed the initial settlement was insufficient because they had underestimated the emotional impacts of the divorce. They argued that my pattern of workplace harassment had prevented Nathan from finding employment, and even suggested that the stress from my vindictive behavior was endangering Olivia's pregnancy, claiming it now required specialized care due to high-risk complications. Legal victory. My lawyer's response was devastating. She started by playing security footage from my office building, showing my mother's theatrical performances, Nathan's aggressive behavior, and Olivia's attempts to sneak in through a back entrance. She presented social media evidence, including a detailed timeline of their online harassment campaign. The financial records were the real bombshell. Nathan hadn't been unable to find work due to my harassment. He'd been rejecting jobs as beneath him. Olivia had turned down a full-time teaching position at an art school to maintain her unemployed pregnant woman status for court sympathy. Most damning were Olivia's prenatal records, showing a perfectly healthy pregnancy with standard expenses. They'd been using their unborn child as a pawn. The judge was visibly angry. When their lawyer tried to argue that emotional distress warranted additional support, the judge cut him off. "Counselor, your clients appear to have committed perjury. Do you want to continue down this path?" Their lawyer returned from a brief recess looking grim. Nathan was pale, Olivia was crying, and their united front had crumbled. The verdict. The judge's ruling exceeded my expectations. Not only did he deny their motion, but he also reduced my alimony payments by 60%. "This court does not look favorably upon parties who abuse the legal system," he stated. Mr. Crawford appears to be the victim of a coordinated scheme to exploit him financially and emotionally. Aftermath. The fallout was swift. Nathan suddenly found a retail job after Olivia decided she could work at a local gallery. In their final message, my parents accused me of destroying Nathan's last chance and assured me they would never forgive me for abandoning my family, citing irreconcilable differences regarding honesty. Their lawyer withdrew from representing them. My company increased security and banned them from the premises. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned my parents had taken out a second mortgage to pay legal fees, and Nathan and Olivia were constantly fighting about money. New beginnings. Finally, I can breathe. With reduced expenses, I can rebuild my savings, and I'm seriously considering that job offer in Seattle. Sometimes, the best revenge is letting people face the consequences of their actions. Though somehow, I suspect this story isn't quite over yet. Final family attempt. A few weeks after the court victory, Aunt Victoria unexpectedly reached out. Since she'd never been involved in family drama before, I was curious enough to listen. Big mistake. She started with feigned concern. Your father isn't getting any younger. All this stress is affecting his health. She went on about how my parents were losing their retirement funds, how they had to refinance their house to cover Nathan and Olivia's expenses, and how family should stick together no matter what. When I didn't respond with immediate sympathy, she changed tactics. Did you know your mother cries herself to sleep every night? Even if they made mistakes with you as a child, they're still your parents. Nathan is still your brother, regardless of what happened. I finally cut her off. What happened? You mean the months he spent sleeping with my wife, getting her pregnant, and then trying to claim the child as his own? Is that what happened? Her response was astounding. Well, maybe if you'd been more present in your marriage. She actually tried to blame their affair on me, suggesting my jealousy of Nathan from childhood had created a toxic environment that pushed them together. It was so absurd. I laughed. Actually laughed. Another family member trying to manipulate me into taking responsibility for Nathan and Olivia's actions. The difference this time? It didn't affect me at all. The confrontation. Victoria, I said, keeping my voice level, if you're so concerned about their financial situation, why don't you help them? Your husband's law practice is doing well, and you own 3 rental properties. Why am I the only one expected to stand by them? That was different. She sputtered, saying I had a special obligation as Nathan's brother. When I asked why she hadn't stepped in during all of this, she claimed she didn't want to take sides. But you are taking sides now, I pointed out. You chose to come to me demanding I pay for their consequences, rather than acknowledge the harm they caused. Then she played what she thought was her trump card. Your father is considering early retirement due to stress. They might have to sell the house. Is that what you want? To see your parents lose everything because you're too proud to help? No, Victoria, I replied calmly. They're losing everything because they chose to enable Nathan's actions again. They, like Nathan and Olivia, are facing the consequences of their own decisions. And guess what? I'm not responsible for fixing that. Family is all we have in the end when we're older and alone, she emphasized, implying I would regret this. No, I said firmly. Self-respect is all we have in the end, and I'm finally choosing to keep mine. I hung up and blocked her number. Moving forward. Her call had an unexpected benefit. It brought complete clarity. For the first time, I felt truly free from the obligation and guilt that had haunted me since childhood. I accepted the Seattle job offer that same day. The change of location feels right, and the company is offering a significant promotion. I'm starting fresh, selling the condo. Farewell party. Yesterday, my team threw me a goodbye party. These people who stood by me during the darkest months of my life showed me what real support looks like. My closest colleague handed me a card signed by everyone with a simple message that hit home. Your worth isn't defined by those who couldn't see it. Final reflections. I've learned that family isn't about blood. It's about mutual respect, support, and trust. My true family turned out to be the friends who stood by me, the colleagues who protected me, and ultimately myself. I'm done. To Harrison, Eleanor, Nathan, Olivia, and now Victoria, your choices led you here, and you own the consequences. I'm no longer available to be your ATM or your scapegoat. New chapter. As for me, I'm excited about my new life in Seattle. I'm looking forward to the projects waiting for me at my company's prestigious Pacific Northwest office. More importantly, I can't wait to build a life where I'm valued for who I am, not measured against someone else's golden child. Epilogue. Writing this final update from my empty Pacific Heights condo, surrounded by packed boxes, feels fitting. Tomorrow, I start driving north. I'll be leaving behind my past life, with all its pain and family drama. And yes, their baby was born last week. No, I haven't reached out or seen any pictures. That chapter of my life is closed. I want to thank everyone who supported me through this journey. When I doubted myself, your encouragement and advice kept me going. To anyone going through something similar, remember that your worth isn't determined by your family's treatment of you. Sometimes walking away is the most self-loving thing you can do. Time to go. Here's to new beginnings.